What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, man. Very good evening to you all. Just thought I'd do a quick live stream, really, to speak about some of the weekend's fights and just get you guys' opinions on it. So, yeah, big up to everybody that's about to join the chat. It will just be me today, but yeah, we'll just have a quick little go through some of these and see what you guys think about it. I did some videos on the channel earlier today. Feel free to check them out, giving some of my reaction to it, but yeah, shout out to everybody that will join in. First of all, you guys know what to do already. Hit that like button, man. I beg you, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, man. Let's try and get to 1K. We're at about 955 subs right now. So slowly but surely we're getting up in there. But yeah, big up to everyone, man. First of all, hope you're all having a good evening. And let's talk some boxing, man. Let's go to the comments straight away. I got my bro Harvey in the chat here. He said, yo, bro, hope you're good. Very well, Harvey, man. And even better, you know why, after that message I showed you today. So, yeah, it's going to be a very good show later on this week for the podcast. Let's just say that. But big up Harvey for the idea, man. My boy Conrad in the building, he's put good evening. Francisco, all the way over there in the States, he's put good afternoon, bro. Good afternoon to you as well, my friend. It's evening over here, about 7 o'clock. But you know the drill. You know what I mean? Let's talk some boxing. Ian Hamilton's here. He's put good evening, mate. Good evening to you as well, bro. Let's talk about it, man. Some of the action over this weekend. I want to start off with Chisora and Parker. Now, for me, I did a post-fight review on my page, as I said, but very good fight for me. I thought that Parker did very well. The best I've seen Joseph Parker in years. I have to be honest, man. He was that good for me. I mean, he wasn't like, wow, this was like the best performance I've ever seen. I mean, it wasn't that, but I was very impressed with Joseph Parker, man. I mean, the guy has always had a lot of ability. I've never denied that, even though I've criticized him quite a lot of times on my show and certain videos that I've done. I've always acknowledged that Joseph Parker has a lot of ability, man. He's got great hand speed. The guy is very mobile. He's strong as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got all the physical gifts to be a very good heavyweight, and he was a former world champion as well. So we know that he can, reach the pinnacle. But it's just the mindset that really got to me. Why I used to criticize him, because he just never really had that killer instinct. And some people have it and some people don't. Do you know what I mean? But Joseph Parker at the weekend, he was showed a lot more of that killer instinct, and he looked very assertive and very good against Del Boy. He could have stopped him. If he put the foot on the pedal a little bit more, I think he could have stopped Del Boy. He was there for the taking, man. Del Boy, he was very brave, put up a good effort. But for me, like I said in the video, I don't know how many of you guys have seen it yet, but for me, I'm done with the Del Boy chapter. Do you know what I mean? I'm done with it. A lot of people were looking forward to who Del Boy could fight next. I actually had a little, not an argument, but I was speaking with someone on Twitter, and he was one of the people that believed that Chisora could beat Wilder. And I just think that's outrageous, man. I mean, what are you trying to do to Del Boy? He was clearly shot from Saturday night, man. He's done. I don't know how much this guy's got left, but didn't look like a lot to me. And, he just about managed to survive the distance. He did that on pure guts and pure determination. Do you know what I mean? He's got the heart of a lion, Derek Chisora. But in terms of what he's given, in terms of like boxing right now, challenging those guys at the top, and he's even said himself that he's not really interested in fighting for world titles. He's just there for the money. And when you're in boxing just for the money, it's very dangerous, man. I mean, we know that Del Boy comes to fight, but do you know what I mean? To put your body on the line like that just for the money, when you've already earned a lot of money, it's a dangerous sport, man. You're risking your health in that way. And to fight someone like Wilder, like Eddie Hearn was kind of saying that he'd like to see Chisora fight Wilder. This person on Twitter that I was speaking to believed that Chisora could beat Wilder. I'm just like, based off what? Just because he put in a brave effort against Parker? So, nah, not for me, man. I don't want to see that at all. I think Del Boy should retire now. If that's just my honest opinion. He's not going to listen to me. He's not going to take me seriously. But, it's just my opinion, really. I just think that, he's been there. He's done it. He's fought a lot of top guys over the last however many years. I saw Michael Benson's tweet of some of the guys that he's fought, and it is a catalogue of elite fighters. Let's not get it twisted. But he hasn't won many of them. He hasn't won a lot of them at all. Let's remember that. So how many brain cells do you want knocked out of Chisora for you guys to say, yeah, let's call it a day? I don't know. I mean, he's not going to retire. It doesn't look like. He said that he's going to come back in the summer. Who would you like to see him fight? That was my question in the video as well. I mean, there are a lot of domestic heavyweights out there that he could potentially fight. You've got the likes of a Joe Joyce. Will he fight a Joe Joyce? I mean, then you've got to look at the other likes of maybe a Dubois, Nathan Gorman. You've got Adelaide. You've got quite a lot of domestic heavyweights out there. There are other up and coming heavyweights like Tony Yoka. I wouldn't want to put him in with him. You've got other guys like Hrgovic. Like you're looking at the top guys now: Hrgovic, Michael Hunter, Andy Ruiz. Them guys. Do you really want to see Chisora in against them lot? So where does he go from here? I know he signed with 258. I'm sure that they'll get him a good fight. But for me, yeah, I'm kind of done with the whole Del Boy chapter, man. I'm pretty much done with the whole antics and the whole, you know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to criticize him as a fighter, but for me personally, I think that he should retire. But let's get straight to the comments here. We've got a lot in here. I'm going to read them all out. Conrad has said, give me more of this version of Parker for sure. I really did like what I saw with Parker, man. He's very good under Andy Lee. And shout out to Andy Lee as well, man. He was getting a lot of plaudits on Saturday night, and they were well deserved. I thought that he was very good in the corner. Compare that with Teofimo Lopez's dad a couple of weeks ago. Andy Lee was just calm. He was measured. The instructions were clear. They were concise. He was very good in the corner, man. And Andy Lee, I think that it's his second fight with Joe Parker now. He was very good. And I look forward to seeing how that relationship develops between them two. Joseph Parker seems like he's basing himself over here in the UK now. And that partnership with Andy Lee's working pretty good. A lot of people out there for Parker that he could fight as well. But I thought he was really good on Saturday night, very assertive. And he won a lot more conclusively this time round than he did the first time round. So I agree with Conrad there. Harvey says here, Parker impressed me. He did much better than I expected. Really enjoyed the fight. For real, like, even Laurie messaged me and said how impressed he was with Parker. And, he's been one of his fiercest critics. You saw in the show last weekend. But, yeah, Parker was very good, man. Credit where credit is due. Do you know what I mean? None of the criticism is ever personal. Always would give credit where it's due. And for me, Joseph Parker looked very good on Saturday night, man. Very good against Chisora. The scorecards were terrible, by the way. Absolutely terrible scorecards. And the British Boxing Board of Control are lucky that, people are not really going over the top with them, like in terms of complaining about him, because the right guy did win. But you imagine if Parker didn't score those knockdowns, it would have had an impact on the fight. Do you know what I mean? And that's crazy. Parker won the majority of those rounds, man. And I think he might have took a couple off, but some of the scorecards were just unreal. But should we even be surprised? I don't know. Conrad has said here, I don't want Chisora to get hurt. I hope he retires. I agree. Eddie JB in the chat, he's put here, Chisora needs to retire. All well and good labeling yourself a prize fighter, but that money won't help with early onset dementia. For real. This is what I'm saying, man. And I'm seeing people want Chisora in with Wilder. I'm just like, nah, come on, man. Harvey says here, I'd like to see him retire. I don't want to see him fight Wilder. He'll get badly hurt. He's got nothing left to prove, and he's given us entertaining fights for years. I mean, Del Boy Chisora is what, 38 years old now? He looked shot to me on Saturday night, and that's not taking anything away from Parker, but just the legs, the legs were very heavy from Chisora, man. I mean, he was fighting on pure instinct and gut and determination, but in terms of what he's got left, it just didn't seem like much to me. Maybe it was Parker that was, doing that to him, but he just looked like, I don't know, he looked like he lost a yard or two on Saturday night, man. It wasn't the same Del Boy that was in there with Dillian White in the first fight, or even the second fight up until he got knocked out. This Del Boy, or even weren't really the same Del Boy that was in there with Usyk. It just seemed to me that a few clean shots from Parker would have Del Boy going. And like I said, it was just his determination and his guts that kept him in there till the 12th round. I remember, like, during the fight, the referee looked like he was going to step in and stop it at times, but Chisora's heart just didn't allow that to happen, man. Just when it looked like the referee might jump in, Chisora would, like, throw another barrage of punches to stop the referee from stopping the fight. That just shows how much heart he does have. But in terms of long term, for his health and stuff, it's not I don't recommend it. But he's not going to retire. He won't retire. Harvey says if he does fight again, no one in the top 15. I hear that. Who do you guys like to see? Because it's dangerous at heavyweight, man. I mean, no matter where you turn, you got guys that can crack. And if Chisora's not motivated, he's going to need someone to get him motivated. So these little fights against obscure names, he's not going to be interested in those. He's going to be interested in somebody that has a name, somebody that can get him up for a fight. And, it'll be like a high reward, low risk type of fight. But who can you say that to in the heavyweight division? I don't know. Be interesting to see what he does. And like I said, he's with 258. He only just signed a management deal with them. So be interested to see where they direct him. But yeah, Joseph Parker looked very good on Saturday night, man. And his options, this whole thing with him and Tyson Fury, this little bromance that he's got going on with Fury, is looking like he won't fight him. And Fury holds the WBC belt. So if Parker doesn't fight Fury, that only leaves Usyk with the belts. Can you see Joseph Parker fighting Usyk anytime soon? Probably not. Usyk looks like he's occupied right now with AJ in that rematch. And then should Usyk win that rematch again, then, we're probably looking at an undisputed fight maybe. But Joseph Parker's not going to be high on his option list unless he's forced to fight him. So where does Joseph Parker go from here? There's a lot of good heavyweights out there. Maybe he could fight a Deontay Wilder. Maybe he could fight a Hrgovic. I heard that fight was being mentioned. Maybe he could fight, Michael Hunter, a rematch with Andy Ruiz. There's loads of guys out there that he could fight. So, yeah, I mean, the options are good for Joseph Parker right now. And hopefully we get to see him active and out there next year. And hopefully we get to see the Parker that we saw on Saturday night, the one that was letting his hands go. Do you know what I mean? The one that showed a bit more assertiveness in the ring. I thought it was very good to see. So, yeah, I was impressed with Joseph Parker. Del Boy, I think he should retire, but we know that he won't. And, yeah, just my thoughts on that, man. But moving on, I want to speak about some other fights as well over the weekend. And that was Artur Terbiev against Marcus Brown. Now, Artur Terbiev, that fight, guys, I know you guys saw it as well, but it was literally a bloodbath, man. It was just like to watch it. Even I cringed looking at the cut. That headbutt, that cut on Artur Terbiev's forehead was a horrible cut, man. It reminded me of Badu Jack's cut that he suffered against Marcus Brown as well. I think it was as well, wasn't it? So, yeah, Marcus Brown's got a bit of history there with that particular cut on his opponent's foreheads, but that gash on Beterbiev's head was horrible, man. It was a really nasty cut, and he fought through it. Do you know what I mean? He fought through it, and he actually stepped it up even more after that cut, and he really put it on Marcus Brown, who I thought was doing okay up until the first couple of rounds, but he was never in the fight where I thought, yeah, he's dominating the fight or he's winning this fight or whatever. But I thought he was doing all right, in the first couple of rounds, just keeping his distance and, letting his shots off. But he was never like the ring general. I always thought that Beterbiev would get his way back into the fight. And when this cut happened, it just allowed him to put his foot on the pedal even more. Beterbiev just stepped it up, really put a beating on Marcus Brown over the next few rounds. And Marcus Brown quit in the 9th round. He dropped him before that. And then in the 9th round, he dropped him again with a body shot. And Marcus Brown, he looked pretty clear-eyed to me. But, he just looked at the ref. He was on his knees. And, he waited for the count of 10. And then he just kind of got up straight after that. So, yeah, Terbiev did make him quit. But for me, man, I mean, Marcus Brown, I'm not really going to get onto him for that because, you're in there with Terbiev, man. This guy's a monster. Do you know what I mean? Putting pressure on you like that for all of those rounds, giving you pretty much a pounding. And, he gave it his best effort, but it weren't enough, man. When you quit in that sort of situation, I won't come down too hard on you. Do you know what I mean? It's not really that kind of party for me. He did give it a go, but Terbiev was just a better man. And overall, he beat Marcus Brown down. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of sympathy for him on Twitter either, Marcus Brown, due to his history. We know about that. But yeah, Terbiev, for me, man, he was brilliant. The best 175-pounder in the world right now, for sure. And I'd love to see what he does next. You guys know what I want to see him do. And will that happen in 2022? I don't know. Harvey says here, Terbiev is number 1 in the division. He beats Bivol, in my opinion, even though the fight probably won't happen. That's where I was going with it. Do you know what I mean? Artur Terbiev is the number 1. Bivol is the fight that we'd like to see. We know that the Canelo fight's not going to happen with Terbiev, even though they were talking about it quite a lot on the broadcast on Friday night. It's looking like Artur Terbiev. Well, I mean, I don't know who he's going to fight next, man. I mean, Bivol is the logical fight. They're both Russian. They're both undefeated. Both of them hold a world title. Artur Terbiev has 2 of them. Bivol has 1 of them. You know what I mean? This could be a unified light heavyweight world championship fight to establish the number 1. I mean, Terbiev is the number 1 for me. After he beat Vostik, that left no doubt. But Bivol is the closest guy to Terbiev in terms of getting that number 1 spot. Like I said, they're both undefeated. They both have that Russian element in them. It's a big fight. Do you know what I mean? It's a very intriguing fight as well, because there will be some people out there that would pick Bivol. For me, though, like Harvey's saying right here, I pick Terbiev. I think that he is just too relentless, has too much of a killer instinct. I think that his skills are underrated as well. I mean, remember, this guy was, he was a very good amateur, Terbiev. Won the World Amateur Championships over there, and he's very good. Do you know what I mean? As a pro, he's done what you can ask of him to do. 17 fights, 17 wins, 17 knockouts this guy's got. So, yeah, he's the number one guy for me. Defeated the likes of Usyk, who some people thought might beat Terbiev, who was also unbeaten at the time. He retired Usyk. Do you know what I mean? Usyk didn't even come back after that. So, yeah, Terbiev is the number one. I think he beats Bivol, but let's see it. Do you know what I mean? Because there'll be people out there that will think Bivol can beat him. I want to see these two guys fight. I don't understand why we're not any closer to that fight. And I think that we should start calling these guys out for it. Do you know what I mean? We call out Terence Crawford and Errol Spence every week for them two to fight. And like that's a big fight. And we call out these other fights, but I don't really hear that much for Terbiev and Bivol. So I've been pretty vocal about it recently on Twitter and on YouTube and everywhere else for these two guys to fight, because I just want to see it, man. I think that is a great matchup. And, you know what I mean? It's a loss doesn't mean everything. A loss doesn't spell the end of your career. I'm sure that both of these guys I mean, if it was put to them, surely these guys would fight each other. So I don't know what the holdup is. I really don't. No one's calling each other out. I just don't know what's going on, man. It's like there's some secret code, man, for these two guys not to fight each other. But let's see it happen. Do you know what I mean? Let's unify those titles and let's try and get undisputed where we can in every division. My bro Francisco was put here at 175. How do you see a Terbiev versus Zurdo fight playing out? Zurdo was also in action this weekend, got the win as well. He's put here, Terbiev looks like he might exchange with Zurdo, which would be dangerous, whereas Bivol's jab and boxing would give Zurdo some problems. I agree, and it's great to speculate on these matchups, man, but I just want to have that sort of idea that it could happen in the future. I need some sign or something to tell me that, yeah, these two guys are going to fight, or we're going to see Terbiev and Zurdo, or Zurdo and Bivol. I know that with Zurdo's win, it puts him higher up in the WBA rankings. It puts him in line for a shot at Dimitri Bivol. So maybe we could look at that for next year. But if that's the case, where does Terbiev go? Does he just continue to defend his belts? It looks like it could be the case, because Canelo's not a fight that's on the radar anytime soon, I don't think. I think that Canelo will be fighting Makabu at cruiserweight. If he doesn't fight Makabu, I still don't think Terbiev would be Canelo's number one option. But you never know. You never actually know, man. So as for Zurdo, like I said, yeah, he got the win this weekend as well. And him and Bivol will be a very good fight. It will be a dangerous fight for both of them. Bivol would be the slight favorite for me, but I mean, Zurdo could definitely cause him some problems. But it's a good fight. It's a good fight, man. And like Francisco's saying here, it's just one that we want to see. It'll be an entertaining one as well. Bivol needs a big fight. Like I said in my video a week or so ago, he needs that big fight now to get him out there and to just really establish how good he really is. Do you know what I mean? He's got mad potential. A lot of people look at his ability and say that he's one of the best technicians in the game. Very good to watch on the eye. Has a fantastic jab, Dimitri Bivol does. But, we want to see him in there with somebody that is, just as much as likely to win as him. But Terbiev would be that guy. Zurdo would be that guy. Let's see Bivol in with one of those two. Harvey says here, Terbiev is nearly 37. We need to get things happening. Yeah, Terbiev is nearly 37, but he looked good to me on Saturday night. A lot of people were on Twitter and stuff saying that they thought that Terbiev looked beatable. I don't know. I thought Terbiev looked very good. Even when imagine suffering that sort of cut on your forehead like that. It was a deep, deep cut. Do you know what I mean? And not only did he put his foot on the pedal even more, he really put it on Marcus Brown, man. He actually started to beat him down after that. And I thought he was very impressive. So I'm not sure where those comments come from, but it wasn't just the normal average Joe on Twitter. I mean, I saw Andre Ward say it. I saw a few other people say it. Like, they thought Terbiev looked beatable, but maybe that's a good thing, because it might entice more people to fight him. I'd love to see him and Bivol, man. That's the one. That's going to be one of the fights for me, my top 5 fights for 2022. And you know what? I think it might have been one of my top 5 fights for 2021. So, yeah, we've been here before. We've been here before, man. So let's hope that we get closer to that But yeah, Terbiev is nearly 37, but he just looks very good. I didn't see no signs of slippage from him, really. Marcus Brown, I know he's got ability, but he weren't the guy to really take it out of Terbiev, even after he suffered a bad cut like that. So Terbiev's 37, but I wonder how long he can go on for. Do you know what I mean? He don't look like any slowing down anytime soon. Not for me, anyway. Francisco says here, some of the guys here have commented that Bivol and Terbiev are avoiding each other because they're hoping for a Canelo payday, which might very well be true. I've heard that as well, Francisco, that these two guys are kind of waiting around for a Canelo payday. But just as we said with Benavidez and Charlo, you guys are just going to have to fight it out, man. Canelo, he can do what he wants. You guys don't have control over what he does. He could fight. Like I said, nobody really expected him to go up and fight Makabu. And this is what he looks like he's going to be doing. So you're going to be sitting around there wasting your career, you know what I mean, when there are other big fights to be made. Eliminate each other, man. You fight Bivol, like you fight Terbiev. You know what I mean? Let Charlo and Benavidez fight each other. To be fair, Benavidez is somebody that has said that he wants to fight Charlo, and it's Charlo that's really making the excuses for that fight not to happen. But yeah, we'd have to start seeing these guys fight each other, man. Not everybody can fight Canelo. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody's going to fight him in May. So don't let your own career go to waste by just sitting around and waiting for that payday. The same with Triple G. I mean, he's another one waiting around for that Canelo payday. He was going to be fighting Murata in December, but look how much his career has stalled since that Canelo fight. He hasn't really, I don't know, man, hasn't really done too much for me. I think he could have been doing more, but he is showing signs of age as well. But again, everyone's just out here capping for that payday, man. I get it. Canelo is the money bet. He does draw the money. But yeah, you guys got to get on with your own career, man. And Terbiev and Bivol is a big fight. So Harvey seems to agree with me. Ian Hamilton says here, Terbiev is just a monster. Him being bled is more scary than how he looks at you. It will take someone special to beat him. Yeah, he's a scary dude, that Terbiev, man. And like I said, when I saw that cut on Friday, I was just like, literally, I was just like, oh, that's a bad cut, man. I think the referee might step in and stop this. Like, I thought it was one of them. But he fought through it, man, and it was a deep cut in his forehead. I don't know how long that's going to take to heal up, but he just it just sparked something in him. That's what I mean. The killer instinct in Terbiev. He was just throwing combinations. He just thought, now let me get Marcus Brown out of here. I've had enough of feeling him out now. Now that I've got this cut, let me get him out of here. And he's just a pure monster, man. I do like Terbiev. I rate him highly, and I don't know who beats him. I pick him to beat everybody at 175 right now, and I think Bivol might have the best chance to do it right now. But the older that he gets, you know, the more likely he's going to slip, and somebody could catch him. One of the young bucks, maybe a Buatsi or someone like that. But I wouldn't really want to put Buatsi in there with him right now. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he'd have to wait a year or two, see if Terbiev can slip a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't put him in there with him right now. I think that Terbiev is definitely the number one light heavyweight in the world. It's going to be difficult to beat him. How does Canelo and Terbiev go, in your opinion? Can you see Canelo doing it? Let's remember Canelo, he's got a very good chin, one of the best chins in the game. He's moving up to cruiserweight, which is a weight above light heavyweight. Yeah, we can see how he gets on at cruiserweight. I mean, Makabu's not the best opponent, you know, at cruiserweight for him to fight, but it'll be interesting to see how Canelo carries that weight. If he carries it well and he's able to drop back down to 175, he's fought there before against Kovalev. How would you see him and Terbiev getting on? That would be an interesting fight. Canelo's got a very good chin. Could Terbiev knock him out? If it goes to points, would Terbiev get the decision? So yeah, very interesting. That will be a good fight as well. Does he have the best chance of beating Terbiev? Let me know what you guys think about it, man. But yeah, I was very impressed with him, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes from here. But these guys just don't need to sit around waiting for each other. We need to see these guys fight, man. So yeah, very good and very impressive performance from Terbiev for me. I want to speak as well about Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley quickly. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I did another video, like I said, today. Go and check it out if you haven't already, but I'll speak about it here as well. And in that video, I basically said that Jake Paul, after he knocked out Tyron Woodley on Saturday night, I was on social media the next day, just, you know, having a look around and seeing what the boxing news was. And there were other fights, obviously, over the weekend. There was Zerdo, who got the victory. There was Parker, who got the victory. There was Terbiev, who fought on the Friday. There was Madrimov, who fought on the Friday. all over social media on Sunday morning was Jake Paul. All over Sunday, all over the social media on Sunday, it was that knockout. I saw it everywhere. Do you know what I mean? People sharing the memes of Tyron Woodley getting knocked out. And it just had me thinking, like, in terms of US boxing, and maybe Francisco could answer this one right here, in terms of the US and US born fighters, so not fighters that fight in the US that might be from another country like Canelo, but in terms of like the US based fighters, is there a bigger star right now than Jake Paul? I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say because this guy hasn't even fought a proper boxer, really. He's just fought guys that are not actual, you know, he hasn't fought a proper boxer, so to speak. But this guy could be the biggest, you know, draw in boxing, US boxing right now. He could be. Like I said, he was all over social media. He seems to be the one. I mean, there are guys out there that are capping for him right now. You've got guys like Maris Bradis doing corny videos trying to entice Jake Paul into a fight. You've got other guys out there all wanting to fight Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, it was everywhere, that knockout. Showtime Boxing have got Jake Paul on some sort of deal. Do you know what I mean? Where they screen his fights on pay-per-view. And when you look at the other American stars like Deontay Wilder, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, you know, Javonte Davis, Caleb Plant is one who should be better than where he is in terms of his star ability and potential. But, you know, what is Jake Paul the guy? Let me know, man. I mean, it feels silly for me to say that, but who out there that is American-based can draw more numbers than Jake Paul right now? Be interested to see your comments, man. Let's have a look here in the comments. And big up little man Chirac in the building. He's put, "Will it do? What's going on, brother? Good to have you here." Harvey's put here, knockout of the year. Well, I mean, it was a devastating knockout, man. I mean, the right hand just dropped Woodley, flat first on his face. It was a bad knockout. It's crazy for me to say this, but it could be up there. I saw a few people saying it. There have been some good knockouts this year. I don't think that will get knockout of the year. But like my boy WM is saying here, Woodley got slept. You know, he did get slept. Little man Chirac is saying here, when I move, call it boxing. The money I make me doing clocking. WM has said here, this is why Tommy Fury didn't want that smoke. I think that Tommy Fury, man, I mean, what's he thinking right now? He saw what Jake Paul did. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe he thought that he could have saw holes in that. Because the fight wasn't very good up until that knockout. Let's be real. The fight weren't very good, man. I mean, it wasn't like Jake Paul put on no dazzling performance against Woodley. It was a pretty crap fight up until that knockout. And the knockout was brutal. But yeah, Tommy Fury, man, he's missing out on that payday. And I don't even know if he's going to get it again. I don't know if, I mean, when they asked Jake Paul whether that fight would happen, what it seemed to me to suggest was that he was moving on from the whole Tommy Fury saga. So that's a missed opportunity for him, in my opinion, if they're not able to get that fight on next year. Because where's Tommy Fury really going in his career, in his boxing career? I mean, he's definitely got a career outside of the ring. We know that. But in terms of in the ring, I mean, he's not going to get a British title. I'll be very... Nah, he's not. He's not going to get a British title. Could he even get an English title? I don't know, man. Maybe. But yeah, the fight with Jake Paul would have been the one. That would have been the money grab for him. That would have been the big one. But, you know, he suffered an injury, so to speak. So, yeah, it didn't work out for him, man. And I don't know if he's going to get that next year. But Jake Paul, in terms of his superstardom in US boxing right now, I can't think of anyone that's selling more, that's doing more tickets or gaining this much pay-per-views, man. And some people will look at that as a shame. They'll be looking at that thinking like, what the hell's going on? How have we allowed this guy to get himself in this position? But maybe they should be taking tips from him instead of like criticizing him. I was one of those people that did criticize him. But now I've just kind of got used to him. And I was going to watch that fight with him and Tommy Fury. I was even going to order it. I was even going to order that fight. And there is this sort of buzz about him. And whatever he's doing is working. You know, the whole corny thing with the belts and, you know, that made up belt that he's got, it's all corny. Some people would think that it does bring the sport into disrepute. No one's really looking at Jake Paul as, you know, this amazing boxer. But in terms of being a star attraction, he's there, man. And whether you like it or not, we're going to have to accept that this guy, he's not going anywhere. So big up Francisco here. He's put here, you may be right about Paul's stardom, but I try not to follow the celebrity YouTuber boxing thing. I think Daryl KO's Paul in less than 3. Listen, I'll take Jake Paul out. Do you know what I mean? I'll take him out if we were to fight. He wouldn't fight me. I'm not a big enough name to fight him. But Harvey is putting here 3 is being generous to Paul Francisco. Yeah, I'll probably give him like 2 rounds for me, 2 rounds max. 1 round to feel him out since I ain't been in the ring for a while, and give me the second round. Now I'm only joking. Listen, man, Jake Paul. I saw a lot of people say Jake Paul and Adrian Broner could be a fight to look forward to. Now Adrian Broner is a lot lighter than Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul's fighting at what, cruiserweight, maybe light heavyweight, cruiserweight. Adrian Broner, obviously, he's not even a natural welterweight. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. People just throwing everything out in the air. But this is what I'm saying. The conversation was on Jake Paul on Sunday. That's where a lot of the tweets and everything else was coming from on social media. It was about that knockout. So yeah, man, I don't know what these American fighters are thinking. The likes of an Errol Spence, who's just unbelievably talented, man, a world champion. And we're going to get onto him as well after this. Him and Ugas, who are looking like they're going to be fighting next year. Errol Spence is a star. He is a star in America. But Jake Paul, I'd love to hear what he thinks about somebody like Jake Paul and what the rest of these guys think as well. Amanda Serrano, who's one of the best female fighters out there. She was on the undercard. She's been on a couple of his undercards. But, it just seems to be the way now. So big up to Jake Paul for getting himself in that position, man. And he is taking the sport seriously in terms of his training. But, yeah, he seems like he is the biggest attraction right now in America at the moment. Harvey seems to agree. He's the US #1. So, wow. Let's see where he goes and where this journey takes him. You know what I mean? Let's see where this ends up. But at the moment, a lot of people are locked in. Big up WM here. He's put here, this Dillian White saga is dragging on for way too long. Preach. It's getting boring now. The longer it takes to resolve, the less likely I feel that he will fight Fury. Well, I know that you, WM, was saying that you felt that Dillian White, that Tyson Fury, so to speak, would become franchise champion. I was hoping that you were wrong. It's looking like that he has been ordered to fight White. But, yeah, just I don't know if you guys saw the news over the last day or so. Bob Arum just, doing what Bob Arum does. And what the Furies do, and that's just confused everybody with what's the truth and what's a lie. So the latest situation here is that Bob Arum came out and said that Dillian White might not be Tyson Fury's next opponent, and they could even go as far as vacating the belt. I don't know. This is why I don't put too much stock into what the Furies are saying, man, because they'll say one thing one day and then they'll do another thing the other day. So I just don't know. I really hope Dillian White gets his shot. Like I said, if they do fight, Tyson Fury would be the favorite for me, but Dillian White definitely has a chance. And why not just have that fight? It makes total sense. We've beaten Wilder. You've got that trilogy out the way. Anthony Joshua and Usyk look like that they're occupied now. Why not fight Dillian White? Do you know what I mean? If you're the best heavyweight in the world, and I believe that he is, but if you're as good as you say you are and you want this place in history to be solidified, then you're going to have to fight people like Dillian White. I mean, there's only so many times you could fight Deontay Wilder. He did beat Vladimir Klitschko, which was a great win. And he did beat Wilder twice. But come on, man. I mean, there are other guys out there. Defend your title against Dillian White. There are other champions out there, other guys waiting. Usyk's another one. You've got AJ. We wanted to see that fight. Do you know what I mean? We've got Michael Hunter. You've got Hergovich. You've got Joyce. You've got loads of heavyweights that he could be fighting. So just be real and be upfront and say what you want to do, man. Dillian White is the logical fight. That's who you're mandated to fight. If you don't fight Dillian White next, then it's a duck. Like, how is it anything but a duck? There'll be Tyson Fury fans out there that'll be saying to themselves, why would he duck Dillian White? He's beating this guy. He's beating that guy. What's Dillian White got? He smashes Dillian White. Let's see it then. Like I said, I'm one of those people that think Fury will beat White. But why has this fight not been made? What is actually going on with it? I mean, it's dragging on for way too long, like WM is saying, and it's just a shame. Hopefully, we do get it resolved. And, I don't know how long it is until the fight actually goes to purse bids. But, yeah, if there is no agreement between the two camps, then it will go to purse bids. And then we'll see what Fury really does. Will he vacate the belt, or will, the person that bids the highest get the fight? Going to be interesting to see how that develops, man. But a lot of people have got their eyes on that one and see what Fury does. You never know. He'll say one thing today, come out with another thing tomorrow. That's Tyson Fury, man. Harvey also thinks that Fury will vacate. So it's just, I mean, I hope not. That fight there with Dillian White is a big fight over here in the UK. Tyson Fury wants a homecoming fight. He said that for however long now. He wants a homecoming. Why not do it against Dillian White? It just makes total sense. AJ would have been the best option, before AJ fought Usyk, but that didn't happen. Dillian Whyte is the next one for me. It's a very good fight. There's history between the two. These two guys, as you know, they've had their sparring, sessions before. Dillian Whyte used to train with the Furies. There's rumors about what happened in those sparring sessions between Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury. Did Dillian Whyte drop Fury like he said he did? Tyson Fury has never actually flat out denied that he got dropped by Fury. I mean, he has kind of brushed it aside when he was confronted with it by Dillian Whyte on Twitter, but I haven't really seen Tyson Fury flat out say that, no, you did not drop me, stop lying. I haven't heard him say that. So there's history between the two. A lot has been said between them on social media. Just get the fight on, man. None of this playing about stuff. Like, if you're a fighting man, like you say you are, fight Dillian Whyte. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that you can work out a deal. Everybody knows that Tyson Fury is the A side. Dillian Whyte has accepted that Tyson Fury is the A side. So hopefully we can negotiate a fair deal. It's not really down to me as to what sort of splits that they do, but just get the fight on, man. If not, then it will go to purse bids and we'll see if Fury really wants it or not. But yeah, let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Go back to some of you guys' comments here. WM has said, Fury, who is impatient at the best of times, will insist on a March fight and fight somebody else. He did say in the interviews that he'll be fighting in March no matter what. He said late February, March, I'll be fighting. I don't care who it's against. So hopefully that's Dillian Whyte. I mean, I'm not sure how much Dillian Whyte has recovered from that injury, but yeah, it seems like that he'll be willing and able to fight then. And let's hope that it does happen, man. Ian Hamilton has put here, you can't preach about being a so-called fighting man when you've made one defense, fought one guy 3 times. You can't be the best if you don't beat everyone around you, but he has no shame. WM has said here, Daryl, on this occasion, I don't actually think that this is Fury's fault. Interesting. Whyte is trying to get the fight on his own terms. The WBC have already ordered the fight. Well, if that is the case, then I can't feel sorry for Dillian Whyte anymore, because you can't have it on your own terms when you're not the A side. Do you know what I mean? Tyson Fury is the champion. You have to put some respect on his name. Eddie Hearn said in his interviews that, Dillian Whyte and his team know that they're the B side. So how could you have the fight on your terms? I mean, it doesn't make sense for you to go in negotiations like that. The 80-20 split was a bit wild to me. I didn't think that made many sense, but that's just a negotiating ploy. I mean, I'm sure that they'll be able to work that out. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear more about what's going on with that. But I haven't even seen that whole Bob Arum interview, to be honest. I haven't seen all of it. But just from what I've seen from the quotes and what I've heard from other people, it doesn't seem too promising. Eddie JB has said here, Fury needs that Whyte fight. Chisora is the 3rd best name on his record. Agree. WM has said here, Whyte is being greedy and is trying to force a higher purse split. He already dropped the bag when AJ offered him the fight in 2019. He did. And obviously, remember, Whyte did lose to Povetkin. That knocked a bit of stock from him. He did beat him in a rematch. But yeah, I mean, Whyte has been chasing for this shot for so long. Now the WBC have finally ordered it. Are you really going to put yourself in a position where you've negotiated your way out of the fight? If that is the case, then nobody's going to feel sorry for you, man. Nobody will. Big up Sands here in the comments. He's put press comments for Fury. The press conference for Fury versus Whyte will be epic. It'll be unbelievable. That would be a great press conference. That would be. I wonder if as well you'd see Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren at the podium. Never know. That could be that as well. Ian Hamilton has said here, plus Fury's dad is smug and he's dismissive of Whyte, basing it around whether he'd beat Wilder. I mean, seriously, if you're that dismissive, then tell your boy to fight him if it's that easy. Yeah, this is the issue, man. What I've noticed with Fury is he compares everybody to Wilder. He says, he's not as dangerous as Wilder. So why would I be scared of him? But this is a totally different fight altogether. Fight the man. Do you know what I mean? And if it's not Fury's fault, if he does want to fight him, let's just hope that these two guys can work out an agreement to get it done. Do you know what I mean? That's what we want to see. There's no excuses, really. The WBC, to be fair to them, have done their bit. Do you know what I mean? That they've done their bit. We've all been chasing them for so long. Dillian Whyte threatening to take legal action with them over making that fight happen. They've now come out and said, yeah, we'll order the fight. So now, especially Dillian Whyte needs to come out there and just accept that you're not going to get as good of a split as you would have wanted. If you're that confident of beating Tyson Fury, then you're just going to have to take it, man. I mean, obviously, if it's not a terrible deal, but if it's just a deal, it's not what you're used to getting. you are the B side. Sometimes you just have to make those concessions, man, when you're the B side. Floyd Mayweather did it against Oscar De La Hoya. He accepted that he was the B side. He accepted he wouldn't get as much money as he wanted to, but he was confident that he would beat him. And he looked at the upside after he beat De La Hoya and what it would mean for his career. And after he did beat De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather became Money Mayweather. I believe that was the fight which transitioned Pretty Boy Floyd to Money Mayweather. And or maybe it was 1 or 2 fights before that. But after that fight with De La Hoya, Floyd really became a global star altogether, even more so. And he was able to dictate terms on all of his fights after that. But he saw the vision. And Dillian White's going to have to see the vision as well, man. If he beats Tyson Fury, he becomes the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. He's the champion. He's able to be the A side. He's able to negotiate, you know what I mean, his own terms. So if you're that confident of beating Fury, you just might have to take a little bit lower than what you want, man. If that's the case, if you're that confident of beating him. So hopefully we won't get into that situation and we will get to see these guys fight. Ian Hamilton has said here, and I've always said Fury is a bigger con man than Mayweather. At least Floyd fought everyone. Funny that, yeah, literally just talking about Floyd just there. Francisco says here, if you have time to comment on something not on today's list, how do you feel about Furman versus Barrios? Let's talk about that right now, man. Keith Furman, when was he last in? Well, last week time he was in the ring was Pacquiao, wasn't it? A couple of years ago now. I've got no problem with the actual fight. If I was in America, I'd have a problem with it being on pay-per-view because I don't think that's a pay-per-view type of fight. But yeah, I think Furman's been out of the ring for a couple of years. Barrios, I mean, he did okay against Gervonta Davis. He's not a natural welterweight, but he is pretty big at light welterweight. So maybe he'll be able to fill into the weight okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad fight. It's one that's definitely not pay-per-view, though. I think that was baffling to see. But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at the actual fight at all. I don't mind it. Like, Furman needs to work his way back into the ring if he is serious about challenging these top guys again. If he can look impressive against Mario Barrios, who I think was doing well against Gervonta Davis up until the last couple of rounds. You know, it's not the worst fight in the world, man. But yeah, just the fact that it's on pay-per-view, it's what I think is a sticking point with a lot of other people. If this fight wasn't on pay-per-view, how many people would be mad? I don't think that they would be. I just think that it's the fact that it's on pay-per-view that is why people are getting angry about it. But yeah, it's a poor move from the PBC, man, who are really falling off, in my opinion. We need to see more shows from them, and we need to see some more of their guys out there. Good to see Keith Furman back. I did like the Keith Furman before he became world champion. He was calling out everybody. He had talk for everyone. And, you know, when he did become world champion, he did start to lose a bit of his hunger. And then we saw what happened, man. I mean, he then ended up getting married, starting a family. Fair play to him. But yeah, his passion for the game is not the same anymore, man. I was into Keith Furman quite big, you know, man. When he was one time and he was talking about KOs for life, and he was saying stuff like, you know, I've got an O, I'm not afraid to let it go. All of that talk from Keith Furman back in the day, I was a big fan of him, man. But yeah, he's kind of let that slip over the last few years. Errol Spence was calling him out relentlessly when he was on the come up. Keith Furman didn't want to fight him. And yeah, he's just kind of lost that hunger, man. So let's see what happens against Mario Barrios, who we shouldn't really write off completely, but because we don't know what Keith Furman's got left. How hungry is he? So I'll tune in to watch it. But yeah, it's one fight that I wouldn't be paying for. And Harvey's saying the same thing. I wouldn't pay for that either. Ian Hamilton has put here, Furman, boy, oh boy, he was meant to be the next big US star, but injuries and activity haven't helped. Wouldn't be surprised if this fight is a struggle for him. Yeah, I agree, because we don't know what Keith Furman's got left. So it will be interesting. I'll watch it, but like Harvey and everybody else is saying, I wouldn't pay for it. Last topic of the day, I want to speak about what Sans is saying here. Spence versus Ugas, which looks to be on. Who have you got? First of all, let me just say, man, if Errol Spence wins this, or if Ugas wins it, but if Errol Spence wins it like I'm predicting, then he'll have 3 out of the 4 belts at welterweight, which is, you know, a great feat for me. There's a lot of people, obviously, that want the fight with Terence Crawford. I'm one of them. But if Errol Spence was to fight Yordenis Ugas, which it looks to be the case, I'm not mad at that at all. I mean, how could you be mad at Errol Spence wanting to get another belt? Crawford is in the position to fight Errol right now. He's left Top Rank. He's been calling him out, been pretty vocal about it. If Errol Spence fights Ugas next and then fights Crawford later on in the year, I'm not mad about it. Do you know what I mean? It would give Crawford time to probably have one more fight in between. Yeah, I don't know who Crawford would fight, or maybe he might wait if Errol Spence defeats Ugas and they fight in the summer. Maybe Crawford might wait that long. He did wait over a year between his last fight and this fight that he had with who's Crawford in there? With Sean Porter, sorry. It was a year between those fights. So I'm sure he could wait half a year to fight Errol Spence if that fight was on the card. So Errol Spence and Ugas does look to be on, was reported by Mike Coppinger yesterday. And I like the fight. I'm glad that this is happening as well, because we know the situation with the WBA. They were, it was looking like that Ugas may have to fight Stanionis, but he's, agreed to step aside. And that's very good. Do you know what I mean? So Errol Spence and Ugas will be fighting, but I guess it means that whoever wins that fight will then be mandated to fight him. So I don't know where that puts Crawford, but yeah, ideally we'd get the fight between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. But how mad could I be at him fighting Ugas? I mean, look at Errol Spence's resume. Look at the guys that he's fought, man. I mean, look what he's had to come through. And he fought Danny Garcia, no tune-up or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, listen, it's a great fight. I've got Errol Spence winning it. Ugas for me, would it go to point? I'd say it would go to points, but I'd have Errol Spence winning that one. Ugas is a good boxer. I think he did very well against Pacquiao. But like Ian is saying here, if Errol Spence is on his game, then he'll dominate. I think that he could dominate, but we just don't know what Errol Spence has got left. I mean, he overcame that car crash. He overcame, that terrible eye injury that prevented him from fighting Pacquiao. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I've still got Spence winning. I think he'll be on points. I think Ugas will hang in there, but I'd have Errol Spence a pretty conclusive winner. Maybe like a 116, 112 sort of fight for me. I'd have Errol Spence winning that if he's on his game. Harvey is saying here, I've got Errol Spence unanimous decision. I do as well. And unanimous decision sounds right. I don't think he'll stop Ugas, but I think he'd win that on points. WM, I totally agree with what you're saying here as well. And I saw your tweet at Fight Disciples as well. I had to agree with that, bro. He's put here, fans need to put some respect on Errol Spence's name. It was proper disrespectful. I saw that tweet. And it was disrespectful, that guy on the Fight Disciples podcast, man. I mean, it was just, calling Errol Spence a shithouse. And I'm just like, well, how can you call the guy a shithouse, man? Do you know what I mean? I mean, unless you're going personal with it, because you can't be talking about his in-the-ring record. But yeah, just my opinion on that. Errol Spence and Ugas, I'll do a separate video to that after this show, and I'll upload it on the channel for you guys so you can see my opinion on it all, like a more in-depth opinion. But Harvey saying, what did they say? Yeah, the guy on WM can tell you, but the guy on that podcast, the Fight Disciples podcast, I forgot the guy's name, man. But yeah, he was being disrespectful. He was being disrespectful to Errol Spence, calling him a shithouse. And I didn't even watch the whole clip, to be honest. But yeah, it was pretty disrespectful, man. And I've seen other people out there as well saying that Errol Spence is this and that. He's ducking Crawford. Look, I want the Crawford fight as much as anyone. I've been beating the drum for that fight for a long time. But if he fights Ugas for the WBA belt, if that's what sort of opportunity comes towards him, then how could I be mad? It gives him another opportunity to get another belt. I'm sure Crawford would take it if he had that opportunity as well. But yeah, I mean, Errol Spence, it kind of puts him in an even better position should he negotiate with Errol Spence for that, with Terence Crawford, should I say, for them two to fight. And let's remember, if Errol Spence does win that belt, then the fight with him and Crawford does become undisputed. So yeah, I'm not mad at that fight. I'm not mad at it. WM has said here, Nick Pete. Yeah, that's the guy. WM has said here, he should stick to UFC. Yeah, the guy's a bit of an idiot, man. I'm not going to lie. I don't really know him. But from what I saw, he just looked like an idiot to me. Ian Hamilton said here, I'm guessing it was Nick P. He tends to be more animated than Adam Catterall, but I haven't heard it yet. Yeah, he was. That's the guy, Nick P. Not a fan of him. I don't really know him, but from what I saw, I don't seem to be a fan of that guy. That's all I'm saying. But big up to everybody in the chat, man. That's just going to be all for today. Just a quick one. I said it was a quick one, but we've been on here for 50 minutes, so I've been talking a lot. But shout out to you guys, man. Let you get on with the rest of your evening. Thank you all for joining, man. Thank you for making this live worthwhile. I appreciate every single one of you guys, man. I appreciate you all for coming on and, making these enjoyable. If you guys weren't here, I don't even know how long this channel will be on for. I'll be honest with you, but I'll have to shout out to all of you guys, man. Thank you for joining in. Click the like button on the way out. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let your friends know. Let them get involved in the conversations as well. We've got the podcast this week as well. Christmas Eve, I'll do it on that day. So it'll probably be on the Friday instead of the Thursday, but I'll let you guys know nearer the time. Let's have a look at some more comments here. Francisco's put here, good work, brother. He's put beard. Your beard looks good. I'm working on it, bro. I'm working on that beard. Harvey says here, big up yourself, Daryl. Looking forward to the pod this week. You know, Harvey, bro. You know how it's going to, Harvey, you do know what it's going to be. It's going to be a good show. WM has said here, let's see who Crawford fights next. This reminds me of when AJ was trying to fight Wilder. Spence be fighting all the names, tough fights and collecting the belts, while Crawford be fighting washed up guys. Yeah, let's see what Crawford does do next. Like I said, he could wait around or he could fight someone in the meantime, stay sharp. But he has been out of the ring for longer than 6 months before, over a year, when he fought Porter. So maybe he might do that again, waiting for that Errol Spence fight. Let's see. Big up to San7 in the chat. He's put here, respect to you, mate. Respect to you too, bro. Listen, guys, have a great evening, man. And we'll be back for the podcast this week. Thank you all for joining, and I'll see you guys then.